Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here again to continue our saga with the life of Joseph. And he's been sold into slavery when we last looked at this. So let's take a look at chapter 39, beginning with the first verse and reading a few verses here. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did in service to the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. And this pleased Potiphar. So he made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything that he owned. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All of his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and his livestock flourished. Well, Joseph is sold into slavery. That's quite a transition, I think, from what he expected when he started out a couple of days previous to this with his shiny coat, knowing his dad favored him and that he had this dream that his brothers were going to bow down and worship him. Instead, he winds up being sold as a slave. Now, I don't have anything like that in my history, but I can suggest or surmise that Joseph was really unhappy about all that had transpired. But something had happened in Joseph's mind, in his relationship with God. And so instead of griping and complaining, he did the best he could in whatever he was assigned. So when Potiphar buys him, it says here that the Lord blessed him. And everything he did turned out good for Potiphar and his household. So Potiphar made him his chief administrative assistant, if you'll use that word today. And it's interesting because the scriptures say here, let me read it again, that Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph. Now, what Lord was Potiphar thinking about? Egypt had many gods. Egypt didn't know about the one God. That would come much later in the Exodus story. But Potiphar recognized some God, maybe even one he didn't know, was really working in Joseph's life. And so it says that he started putting him in charge. He did everything. And then it says down here at the end, again, that all his affairs ran smoothly. And his crops and his livestock flourished. Joseph evidently decided that he would do the best he could in the midst of where he found himself. Now, I'm sure this was not in his expectations for the day when all this stuff started out. And he does not know where it's going. As far as he knows, he's a slave forever. And it easily could have turned out that way. As it goes further to say here, Potiphar trusts him. It's important for you and for me in whatever work we're doing that people trust us. We need to live lives that embody doing the best we can in whatever situation it is, whether it's something really, really important and very lucrative, or whether it's something very, very simple and not worth much in terms of money and prestige and that sort of thing. God wants you and me to live a life that reflects His goodness. Now, I don't know whether you're doing that or not. In fact, some of you who are listening probably aren't. Some of you might even be mad at Him. Okay, be mad at Him, but still do the best you can in whatever situation you're located. And if you do that part, then God will bless you too, and me, and everybody else. And people will recognize, wow, something's kind of special with that person. Man, they do some really good stuff. Joseph is learning. It's going to take him a while yet. His journey to up and up and up isn't anywhere near finished. He's got a big drop off coming here shortly. But Joseph is learning that God is in charge of all circumstances. Now, when it comes to your life, I have to say the same thing. God is in charge of all your circumstances. Of course, there are times when it doesn't look that way. Of course, there are times when it seems like everything else is awful or horrible or even worse. I have had to pray in my life times when I'd say, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I know that you know. And give me trust and give me courage to trust that you know what you're doing. And I can say at this point in my life, it's all worked out. Not as I planned, not as I hoped, but it worked out. And I'd like to think that it worked out even for the better. So Joseph is beginning to get that in his thick skull. And he's doing the best he can. And God is rewarding him for that. And Potiphar rewards him because of it too. Now, as I said, I can't promise you that things are going to get really great. From Joseph's perspective, he's not going to rise to much higher places, much less what he winds up doing. God sometimes keeps us in the dark about the future. Maybe that's a good thing. But whatever you're doing in life and wherever you are, God is working. And He's working and He wants you to do the best you can so that He can manifest the best for you. What do you think about that? Hope you have a really great day. I hope things are just special for you. But if you have a need or a concern, let us know. And we'll do whatever we can, as fast as we can, to help meet your need. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. We got a few more things to share about Joseph. You come back and listen, okay? Take care. I'll talk to you again.